for my city, oh. For my city, oh. It's the joint Cap City, no doubt. Cap City, Cap City, Cap City, Cap City, Cap City, Cap City. Got this fire up inside me like my love for this town. Cap City, Cap City, it's one of a kind, one of a kind. Cap City, Cap City, that's what I've been talking about. Talk about it. I'll break it down cause I'ma lay it on the line. Okay, you got me, biggest fan of all time of the city and the spot. I mean, look who we got, in my opinion, best place on the whole.
In Ottawa, which experiences the winter season as average temperatures around -14 degrees Celsius and regular snowfall between 4 and 6 months annually, winter sport provides both a challenge and an opportunity for new immigrants and citizens. Ottawa's proximity to the trails and ski hills of Gatineau Park, the historic Rideau Canal, and the many hockey rinks and recreational trails around the city have enabled citizens and non-citizens alike to experience winter sports. But how do non-citizens experience winter sport in Ottawa? Is there a connection between urban citizenship and recreation opportunities in the city? How are migrant identities altered or constructed given the sporting culture and winter climate? This film will explore these questions through the experiences of two winter athletes from Ottawa, a skier and a speed skater, both with ethnic backgrounds and roots outside of Canada, were interviewed about their lives as athletes, as urban citizens, and as migrants in Ottawa. This short film will explore the involvement of new Canadian citizens, as well as immigrants to Ottawa, in sporting culture. Ottawa, as the capital city, has a significant role to play in maintaining a culture of sport that characterizes Canada.
I think it's also ingrained in my immediate community that it is something to bond over when you say you hate winter.
Our skier is Mark Rajek. Mark was born in Trinidad and Tobago and moved to Ottawa when he was 6 years old. 2 years ago, he tried cross-country skiing, and now he's on course to qualify for the 2018 Olympics.
January finished outside the top 30 in the Nationals, but really good. Montenegro, another young, developing sports country.
And you mentioned the Balkan Cup. I think there are so many small regional cups, so the Alpine Cup, the Slavic Cup, the Asian Cup, the Eastern European Cup, so it gives many nations an opportunity to build.
Representing Canada, and this is a man who's been in action in the NORAMs.
Mark's experience is exemplary of the ability of sport to contribute to an appreciation of the different climates and cultures associated with immigration. It has provided many migrants with an opportunity to overcome what is often seen as a barrier to fully enjoying winter life in Canada and its capital.
To a fascinating story now about a man from the Caribbean who is embracing cold Canadian winters.
Remember the Jamaica bobsled team and the movie Cool Runnings? Well, this is kind of the same thing with a different sport.
Mark first got the skiing bug working at this Ottawa cycle and ski shop. He eventually helped convince the owner to offer winter sports discounts to other new Canadians to encourage them to embrace a Canadian winter.
If winter sport is able to cultivate a sense of Canadian or Ottawa identity, it could be said that sporting culture acts as a tool for the effective engagement of migrants. Yet, it is also necessary to gauge how much importance sport holds for new immigrants, as well as the role that sport plays in the daily lives of new Ottawa residents. While activities such as skating, skiing, and ice hockey may appear accessible, they can also be immensely intimidating, require considerable investment, and are difficult to try before committing to further involvement. Programs that provide immigrants with an opportunity to sample sports and recreational activities before substantial financial and time undertakings are integral.
It's more of a question of geography. Without Gatineau Park, which technically isn't in Ottawa, it's quite limited. Gatineau Park really belongs to the Ottawa-Gatineau region and is really the jewel of this region. And it's only because of the "if you build it, they will come" opportunity that I've managed to get into cross-country skiing. Well, without a culture of winter sport, not coming from a country with snow, there's no real system to help you adapt to that. It's out of sheer luck that I managed to get into cross-country skiing. Without that, without knowing people outside of my immediate community, it was very, very difficult to find any ways to embrace the snow or to find any ways to make winter enjoyable. Well, mine isn't the typical story. I'm extremely fortunate that, as luck would have it, I can ski for Trinidad and Tobago. Had it not been for that fact, I would not have had the opportunity to experience this sport in all conditions across the country and overseas. I think for the average person, you have to consider if you're activity-based or if you enjoy the world through your eyes. And if you enjoy the world through activity, then it's something that can work for you. However, if you enjoy the world through your eyes, it's another barrier to enjoying the sport. But as I always say, if you can walk, you can snowshoe. So there are alternatives. Later, sport has the power to really improve the quality of your life, and a winter sport does that in addition to giving you a real sense of appreciation for the climate. Well, it's given me no competition. As a member of technically a national ski team, I don't have the privilege of having other athletes ski with me. So there's an upside and a downside. The downside is I don't have a platform from which I could have had greater support from. But the upside is I get to start one. And I hope to use this opportunity to inspire others to take up the sport. Well, thanks to Hollywood and the Jamaican bobsled team and the movie Cool Runnings, it's already favored in most people's minds that, oh, you're from a country without a culture of snow sports, and here you are going to ski for Trinidad and Tobago. So already they find it appealing, and it's something they can already relate to. It's been the key to integrating into this society at a higher quality than would have otherwise been possible had I not had an affinity for sport. It, as I mentioned earlier, sport can change your life for the better. In my case, it's helped me to appreciate a climate that for most of my life I hated. And it's given me a huge community to be a part of and given me a stronger sense of what it is to be Canadian, because I can embrace it all now. It's something that members of the Canadian community can do that I can now do as well. Whereas before, without having someone to introduce me to the sport, it was something far removed. For most of my life, I didn't know Gatineau Park existed. I didn't know that these trails were groomed. I had no idea this was here. So, in fact, it brought a lot of exposure, and with that exposure came the benefits of cross-country skiing, the sport, and again, having a love for snow and winter. As an urban citizen, it's caused me to want to move to a place outside of an urban environment, or for that matter, suburbia, into a place that is physically closer to the ski trails. So in a way, it's helping to make me okay with the fact that, immigration doesn't have to be an urban phenomenon. There are ways to appreciate smaller places away from your immediate diaspora or that small community that you're familiar with, and to not be afraid to venture out into a city or a location not associated with immigration. It means that I have a lot more accessibility to job opportunities and to any other sporting opportunities across the country. So a recent example would be my visit to Thunder Bay, where there are phenomenal cross-country ski trails, a strong culture of skiing, but it's not something that I would have considered, or a place I would have considered moving to before. But because of this sport, I'm a lot more versatile and mobile in where I can go, increasing my opportunities for jobs and to have a more successful immigration experience. Yes, I think you have to look at the underlying factors in what it takes to integrate completely into a society. And I think it involves a personality plays a part of it, and culture kind of can suppress that. And what I'm talking about is being open-minded and being willing to take risks that you wouldn't have otherwise taken are key to exploring parts of that new culture you're a part of and giving you a higher chance of working at a bicycle store, having had an affinity for sport, but only sport that I was familiar with. Well, that bike shop in summer is a ski shop in winter. And that ski shop made the equipment affordable, and a number of high-performance racers, ski racers, worked in that store that were just, again, of that Canadian culture of inclusion, and were just willing, out of the goodness of their heart, to just teach me how to ski. And only was it a few months later did it even occur to me that I had the option to ski at the World Ski Championships. And that came to be. And now I'm on course to qualify for the Olympics in 2018.
Sport, as defined in the Institute of Canadian Citizenship 2014 National Survey, may represent familiar, safe spaces in which to interact with new people. In an urban setting, community building is said to be strengthened through engagement in athletics and through sport organization. Sport is able to provide a comfortable social setting in which new citizens and immigrants can interact, and which contrasts more formal settings such as the workplace. One such example is the free once-a-week skating program coordinated by the Ottawa Catholic Centre for Immigrants. Gemma Dingwall, a Carleton student and varsity skier who volunteers teaching skating, explained that the program helps individuals of all ages experience what Ottawa has to offer. It also demonstrates that being active and outside during winter is both possible and fun, and allows migrants to practice English and French in a casual environment. Immigrants make connections with volunteers while using donated skates on the Rink of Dreams in downtown Ottawa. Adam Skraba is a long-track speed skater of Polish descent who trains with the Regional Training Centre in Calgary, Alberta. Although Adam is from Ottawa and has raced for the Ottawa Pacers, he must migrate to Calgary in order to compete at a national level.
Started long track speed skating a couple of years ago, and Ottawa is a great place because we're one of only 2 spots in Ontario that have an outdoor or even an operational oval for parts of the year. So between the months of pretty much the end of December to the middle of March, depending on how the climate goes for that year, you could set up an outdoor oval, a 400-meter track at the Brewer Park. And so I got involved with the Ottawa Pacers and the Gloucester Concords, running long track speed skating at that oval here in Ottawa. and it's great because pretty much when it's really cold, you get to go out 6-7 times a week. Basically, it's operational between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It has plenty of slots for public skating and just for us speed skaters as well. That was a perfect opportunity for me. Growing up as a kid, the ODR, so outdoor hockey rinks, were perfect as well because you didn't have to pay for as much as you would for organized hockey. My family often downhill skis. You can be looking at just a half-hour drive outside of Ottawa. You can find plenty of mountains.
My experience as a winter sport athlete is that I don't get a lot of time to train because we only have about 2.5 months, if that, at maximum, of where we can use the one oval we have in Ottawa. Our climate is a bit too warm to be able to really operate at about 5 or 6 months. We do not have an indoor oval, for one. Those are super expensive. The second thing is that we don't have cooling pipes on the outdoor oval that I train at for speed skating. Quebec City and Lake Placid are good examples of outdoor ovals that actually have cooling pipes and are almost operational 2 to sometimes 3 months longer than our ice surface.
How has immigration affected your experience as a winter sport athlete in Ottawa?
Well, I'm first generation Canadian, and my parents came to Canada from Poland about 20 years ago. So they're both immigrants. In life, you should always seek a higher education and a better career for yourself. And that's what they see as satisfaction in life. And so they didn't necessarily come from like rich upbringings in Poland. They came from like much poorer families. They've had to work really hard to attain what they have right now. And for my family, they're looking after us by trying to get us to go back to school and really focus on getting a really good, high-paying job from that education. Since I speed skate very often at the top level, I don't have as much time as other people to seek a university degree, even though I've already finished college. I have to work a lot of minimum wage jobs as of right now, since I can only work part-time at certain times of the day that don't affect my training schedule. Essentially, I could go back to school at any point in time. I'm still gonna be mentally able to go back to school in like 10 years. And with all the free time that I would not be training 6 hours a day that I have to spend for speed skating, I could put towards both working full-time and going to school full-time afterwards. If they were to pay for anything, they would want to pay for my schooling, but they would not pay for speed skating. They're always trying to steer me away from speed skating and doing what I love to do.
How has sport affected your migration or movement to and from Ottawa?
Since Ottawa only has an outdoor oval, I've had to look towards traveling to Calgary, which is one of only 2 places in Canada that has an indoor long track oval. I was seeking a higher competitive advantage in moving out there in terms of being able to train 10 months out of the year rather than only 2.5 months at most. A more reliable schedule for training, since the facility will always be open no matter what the climate is outside. Sometimes I could be preparing for competition here in Ottawa where the ice is just not ready for me to train before the competition, and I won't get enough training time in before an important national competition. The national competitions are held in Calgary, including North American Championships, 2 of the Canada Cups each year, and I need to go to those competitions already, so while I'm there, it's easier to get to those competitions since I already live in the city. Houses the national team, the national development team, the national junior team, and a lot of other programs that have high-class coaches from all around the world, not only Canada, to coach our programs. And you get a lot of knowledge off these coaches that you can't necessarily get here in Ottawa. These programs also offer proper fitness training. They provide you with nutritionists and sports psychologists and everything else to give you the competitive advantage that you need.
In what way does winter sport affect your feeling of belonging in Ottawa?
I've been very fortunate to be given the opportunity for long track speed skating here in Ottawa, because a lot of places in Ontario are either too warm or they don't have the population to support an outdoor oval to have the opportunity to try speed skating to begin with. So I would have never made it to competing at national competitions if it wasn't for that, and being able to watch some of my favorite athletes growing up that have come from speed skating in Ottawa, including Christina Groves, who has won many Olympic medals, and she actually came from the speed skating club that I started out in. Also, what gives me a great sense of community is the two of my friends from Ottawa that I was speed skating with have made it to the Olympics, and just this past year they both won. Yes, I, like most other speed skaters, started out as a hockey player, and my love for just being on the ice in general, playing hockey here in the outdoor community in Ottawa, led me to wanting to explore more sports that involve the outdoors, such as long track speed skating at the Brewer Park. I think it would be great to see them try to bid for an indoor oval and set up a facility that could be run year round. For one, you would have participation go up because Ottawa would get behind its athletes, and there'd be a great sense of community in attaining more national level athletes going to compete to the Olympics if you had a world-class facility like they do in Calgary. And the second thing is for the athletes that actually do make it to the national or international level from Ottawa, they have to move away from their families to Calgary to train year-round, and it's emotionally taxing because they are away from their families, friends, away from their community, and it's also very financially taxing.
As can be seen through the experiences of Mark and Adam, for some, Ottawa's winter climate provides the opportunity to train in certain sports when they otherwise would not be able to. For others, the lack of proper facilities and financing has made it difficult to train. These many factors affect the opportunities available for immigrants, as well as the level of participation for foreign-born individuals. Ottawa, thus, acts as a particularly compelling case study for the examination of urban citizenship and winter sport.
Cap City, it's one of a kind, one of a kind. Cap City, the perfect place, Cap City, the skies in these taxi cabs are all blue. How about this? Cap City. How about this right here? Get a beat on the street, start doing that stride. Take a deep breath, cause it's so fresh outside. Cap City living is how I've been driven, despite the cold weather not being so forgiving. But come springtime, you get the patios going, and look up in the sky and see the flags all blowing on this diplomatic street in this diplomatic town. But please let me promise you we really get down. So people say it ain't all that great, and I'm like...